You have arrived at a propitious moment, coincident with your country's one indisputable contribution to Western civilization. Afternoon tea. May I press you to a cucumber sandwich?
Welcome back to Kill James Bond. I am Alice Caldwell-Kelly. Joining me, Abigail Thorne and Devon. How's it going?
How you doing?
Hey.
Oh, how you doing?
I am truly excited for this episode because we have hit a momentous occasion. Not just afternoon tea, but with the recording and posting of our 21st episode, we have officially passed the Mike Dictor threshold for collapsing podcasts of 20 episodes.
Incidentally, I am going to need both of you to re-interview for your own jobs.
I'm going to be honest with you. This comes out a week after we recorded. I'm just going to go radio silent for that whole thing. There's no way we can fall apart.
Nice.
We're watching Moonraker.
Oh,
it's the
boy.
one.
Oh boy.
It's the one where James Bond goes to space.
Okay, so listeners, last time Spy Who Loved Me was good, and so the creators of Moonraker have said, all right, we're going to take the person who was responsible for the good bits of Spy Who Loved Me, and you're going to do Moonraker, but also to help you, we have hired this baboon.
Yeah, he will be slamming on the keys with his giant hands. You're not allowed to stop him, and you can't fight him. So have fun with this. We're gonna do a good movie.
What they did is they went, yeah, I remember everything that worked in that last movie. Just fucking do it again. But we've like gone through a thesaurus and changed every word.
Absolutely.
The Bond kaleidoscope has collapsed to the point where this movie is refracting the previous movie.
Yes.
In fact, it even starts ripping off itself because we get duplicates of scenes. We get multiple boat chases.
This movie is a flat circle. This movie is like approaching the black hole in Interstellar.
In absolutely any reasonable franchise, why don't we send him to space would be laughed out of the room and /or just such an unforgivable shark jump moment that it would never come back.
The shaking hands meme between James Bond and Jason Voorhees.
This is about halfway through the Bond movies. They made another entire 12 after this.
We're at the midpoint of what we can call classic Kill James Bond, where we actually watch Bond movies. And he's going to space. He's going to maintain continuity, and from this point onwards, it will get to my favorite tweet about James Bond, which is
so much.
Bond, you will maintain continuity. No, I was a sea captain in World War II, and I've been to space. It's 2020, and I'm still approximately 45. This is the character that we're doing a podcast about. This fucking guy. So,
James Bond. You ever heard of this James Bond guy?
We got to start with like another refracted Bond thing, because this is now, by my count, the third Bond movie that starts with a cold open of the superpowers get some shit like stolen off of them, right?
Yeah, because this is just the fucking the nuclear bomb theft scene. They're all blurring into one. Is it Thunderball?
Four movies. Thunderball, it was nuclear bombs. You Only Live Twice, it was spacecraft. And then there was another one that I'm not thinking of right now. But
the last one was submarines.
Was submarines? Yes, was The Spy Who Loved Me. So yeah, this is the fourth Bond movie, which opens with the superpowers and Britain for some reason, who is tagging along, are victims of a theft. Right? We see the space shuttle Moonraker, totally normal name for a space shuttle, attached to the back of like 747. Which is being flown by the RAF for some reason, and two guys in leather jackets,
very cool jackets,
break into the space shuttle from which they had been like hiding aboard, start the engines of the space shuttle, launch it from the back of this 747, destroy the plane, and question mark?
Presumably they land it.
Space.
Transporting it with fuel in. as you do.
Yeah.
I love that they have a big emergency button on the like cockpit that's like, hey, somebody started the engines on the space shuttle you're transporting. We had to put this warning light in specially.
Uh-oh.
All right, so they steal the Moonraker, the space shuttle, right?
Mhm.
And we cut to M in his office doing his usual my God thing.
Yeah, I wrote Bernard Lee looking old as shit.
Oh my
Poor
God.
bastard.
Bernard Lee is
He's
not
been
the
going for
only
so
one.
long.
No.
Oh yeah, no. That's
Get
true.
007. Where is he? And 007 is in his turtleneck outfit, which I have described as turtleneck nonce.
My man does not look good.
No,
My man looks old as
Roger
fuck.
Moore looks about 90 years old, and
Now
we
listen,
see
there's
him.
nothing wrong with looking old. Like aging is part of living. That's
Sure.
fine.
Sure,
But like,
Maybe for you.
he's playing a 45-year-old man.
just like a dress out in the film, like, and also the women are not getting older, and it just
Yes.
Ugh.
He's playing a 45-year-old man who was like a sea captain in World War II, and he is on a small plane, like putting the moves on a woman, and
Yeah.
then she immediately pulls a gun on him and is like, okay, we're gonna kill you now. We're gonna throw you out of a plane because we know that this has like almost worked on you before, and like second or third times the charm. By this point, we are like in total like collapse of the Bond movies, where we're just like pulling scenes out of like previous movies wholesale. So she pulls a gun on him. We see the pilot come back wearing a parachute, and this guy's fit incredible.
I just wrote stash alert for this guy.
Yeah.
Wearing a leather skydiving helmet, like aviator shades, handlebar mustache, just perfect fit.
My man is about to shoot some porno.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Phenomenal.
It's fake jet. And he is coming back there to slap Bond's tits. But no, he forces Bond out of the plane and parachutes out himself. Don't know what the, like, girl he was having sex with is doing. I guess she's just, like, riding that one down to the forest floor.
He goes to throw Bond out and gets thrown out himself, but it's fine because he has the parachute. And Bond looks down at him and goes like, oh, fucking idiot. And is immediately ambushed by the third person who is in that plane.
It's
which
Jaws.
is Jaws.
So he was
Wow.
hiding, given that he's 7 feet tall, but whatever.
Yeah.
He pushes Bond out of a plane. Actually, he makes a mistake and accidentally pushes a very obvious stunt double out of the plane, but whatever.
We'll get to very obvious stunt doubles for this scene.
Oh yeah, because
Because
now
Jaws-
we get a skydiving chase. We get Bond trying to catch up with porno stash pilot and take his parachute.
Yeah.
And then having done so in like a very sort of flappy terminal descent speed like fight scene, then Jaws chases after Bond also, and they fight for the soul parachutes.
It's genuinely quite a good scene apart from
the fact that it's not done well. Like what they've done is they've thrown 3 dummies out of a plane and just kind of hoped that they can edit stuff together.
I don't know. No, this was quite like, let's talk a little bit about the process of filming a 2-minute skydiving section.
That's true.
They really struggled with this one. This took about 5 weeks to film. They had to do 88 jumps because they could only get like a couple of seconds of actual filming after jumping out of a plane, getting into position.
Does that mean that if Richard Kiel did all of them, he's like a master parachutist by virtue of this one movie? Hell yeah.
I mean, Richard Kiel was
Kiel
quite clearly not the man.
Did not do
That's
it.
true. No, Richard Kiel
Yeah.
has not jumped out of a plane.
The whole thing was shot like in freefall, except for, and I'm quoting here, a few brief close-ups. And all of those were of the face of Richard Kiel, because the guy that was playing him was just a normal looking man with like silver teeth. And it's if you like go frame by frame and look at this guy, it's incredible.
He's a normal sized man as well.
Yeah,
It's
the
just like a
medium-sized
normal-sized
man.
Just some dude.
Mm-hmm. Bond takes the parachute, fights Jaws off, and Jaws lands in a big circus tent, and the
Wile E.
subtitles
Coyote
say
shit.
circus music playing, and then we get the opening titles.
Because the opening titles are weirdly circus themed.
Yeah,
Right.
Despite the
no
fact
real
that
reason.
nothing circus related happens past that point in the movie
Nope.
No.
at all.
I guess zero gravity, like people like doing high wires and flips. It doesn't really matter.
And he's just
theme song,
bouncing in.
theme song,
Not a good
shit.
theme song. Not good.
bad.
I don't even remember it. I watched it too long ago. I don't recall it.
He's the man, the moon with
He's
the
the moon.
raking moon. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, just
No,
fucking
I'm sorry.
do Goldfinger over again, you know?
You're gonna have to try harder than that to follow up. Nobody does it better.
Yeah, they kind of seem like they're going for a Barbarella thing rather than a Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, fucking Bond goes to see M. Moneypenny also looking old as shit. M's like 007, the fucking shuttle's gone. Just go get it back.
Oh, do you want some dialogue? Do you want some unedited dialogue
Fucking
from
love some
this
dialogue.
Moonraker?
What do you know about Moonraker?
scene? Moonraker. This feels...
Again, it's another one of these fucking scenes where M's just like, so 007, what's the deal with this movie?
It's called
And Bond goes,
Moonraker. Like, have you ever heard of Moonraker? Moonraker? And this feels this whole like the whole first 20 minutes of this movie, I would say, feels so perfunctory. Like it's like by this point they've derived the formula for Bond movie, and so it's like he goes to see them and it's fucking shit, really, isn't it? And then he goes and like he gets a gadget off of Q that's going to be useful later.
Yeah,
And the gadget
it's a dart
is-
gun.
It's a psycho.
The gadget
watch
is
or whatever,
he gets like an Assassin's Creed wrist-mounted dart gun. So whenever he like flexes his wrist, he like fires a cyanide dart.
Now listen closely, 007. What do you know about the Templars?
Whatever you do, don't jack off while wearing this.
The mission is to retrieve the Apple of Eden.
But also, this they send him off because this doesn't make any fucking sense, right? Because okay, listeners. So let's say that the space shuttle's been stolen, right? Well, what would you start with? You'd say, well, okay, let's look at the list of the flight crew and see who's on it. Maybe there's somebody who's suspicious. Maybe we'll look at the CCTV. Maybe let's like see if we can check on radar where it fucking landed, or if anyone saw it because it's pretty big and distinctive. But no, instead they say, 007, this space shuttle was built by Drax Industries in California. So go to where it was built.
He
I'm
seems
like, why?
weird and foreign.
What? Why would you do that? It's like 007, this computer's been stolen. It's got some vital information on it, so you're going to have to go and see Bill Gates, the man who invented Microsoft. Like, why am I doing this?
So many scene transitions are just someone looking at Bond and being like, Bond, it's time to go to next location. And Bond goes, right, sir.
Yes.
And then
To make
he's
sure
in
you
next
meet
location.
the villain of the film.
Bond goes to California, and so
Yeah, we're
Bond
not
goes
fucking
to
this up this
California.
early again. You have
No.
to actually meet the villain.
But Bond goes to California where he is met by a sexy helicopter pilot named fucking something Dufour.
Dufour,
God,
Dufour, yeah, Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
He's met by a sexy French helicopter pilot called Willem Dafoe,
God, that'd be hot.
and she like flies him over the facility, which is like very sort of Thunderbirds level, like miniatures,
Yeah.
and then flies him over that to a French chateau, which Hugo Drax, the owner of Drax Enterprises, has had imported brick by brick from France, and he has like manicured grounds around it.
The nouveau riche. They love doing this kind of shit over there.
Yeah. It looks like if you've ever seen the movie Queen of Versailles, very similar effect. Except this is actually in France. So we fly over some like women doing calisthenics on a lawn, which is like, and Bond is like ambiently horny at them from a passing helicopter, which is very impressive to me. It's like drive-by. Yeah.
He's such a fucking danger. I don't know.
Have they got any tits down there? He's going past at like 300 miles an hour.
He's like leaning out of the helicopter going, oi, oi!
We have tactically inserted this pervert by helicopter to
He's
look
leaning
at
out
you
being
from
like,
above.
oh, darling!
And we get to see our boy. Join me, Mr. Chapo. for afternoon tea. It's
Michael Lonsdale.
Michael
in the
Lonsdale.
audience want to get an understanding of the character of Hugo Drax. If this was made in like 2014, he'd have been played by Peter Dinklage. That's the character.
Yeah,
Yes.
they started casting with the goatee and worked outwards.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've
And
said
they
this,
were right
I've made
to
this
do
joke
so.
before, but like goatees. I mean, who can imagine having one of those? You're right. He does kind of look like Peter Dinklage, but like you clicked to him in the top right-hand corner and just dragged him up.
Yeah. Well, this was before they were casting little people as actual actors instead of
That's
just
true. Instead of like
Scaramanga's
showbiz.
servant, yeah.
Tabasco
Instead of-
fetchers, yes.
Knick-knack Tabasco.
So he kind of like gives Bond the brush off, and he's like, "Well, I couldn't possibly know anything about this," and also,
May I press you to a cucumber sandwich?
which is just a fantastic line. All of his lines are great because they're really like overwritten. There's a bit later where Michael Lonsdale cannot help himself but laugh delivering one of these. Like,
Yes, I noted that.
I'll give you the drop now, right? You hear him just catch it.
James Bond. You appear with the tedious inevitability of an unloved season.
You appear
Right?
with the tedious
They didn't get a better
inevitability of an unloved season.
They didn't get a better take of that.
No, we're
like
keeping
it,
that
though.
one. We're putting that one in.
Yeah.
Someone's just like making faces at him as he's doing that.
You appear with the tedious inevitability.
Of an
All,
unloved-
every line is like that.
Yes.
does it well,
You see
like,
me
he
in my
carries it well, like-
dabitude. He pulls it off, but yeah, the vibe is he uses a lot of like 4 and 5 syllable words. This man is like playing mental Scrabble against James Bond.
I mean, it's everything except we are introduced to him playing chess. Because, and the only reason is because we already did it with Kronstein. Like, we
Well,
are
I think it
introduced to him, like,
refracted
playing classical piano in front of some sexy
Yes.
ladies.
Oh, I love his sexy ladies. He has a different pair of aristocratic sexy ladies every scene. He like introduces them like, this is the Countess of such and such. And I love Drax's polycule so much, man.
The first one of them he introduces is a lass called Lady Victoria Devon, and I just want to say, you've already got my surname. Please, just DM me. It's fine. We can work this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've already taken my
in
name.
order
We're
to be surrounded, in order to like be around Hugo Drax, you must be an absolute 10 out of 10 smoke show dime piece. This is
Which
non-negotiable.
actually true
Or,
in the text of the movie.
yeah.
or
yeah.
you can also just be an Asian man.
because
The only
maybe.
superpower Bond villains have, employing an Asian man.
Got a henchman named Char, who is again just a fucking refraction of Oddjob.
He's literally just a guy. He's a guy in a kimono. That's his whole deal.
That's
He's
it.
wearing a kimono.
Why is he in every scene?
He's gone entirely Japanese.
He's like,
Every scene this guy's in, he's wearing a fucking kimono, and he shows up
Every
later
scene,
on to try to
everywhere.
assassinate Bond with a fucking kendo sword.
yes,
It's like,
yes.
bring a
There's a
sword!
whole scene. There's a whole scene where he's fighting Bond with a kendo stick, and every time he does anything, he just goes ah. Ah!
My man is
Yeah.
Japanese.
So-
Oh, and we see Drax's dogs too. He's got these 2 big like hunting hounds, which is cool, and he feeds them some meat. And he's like, "Yeah, no, my sexy helicopter pilot will take you around. Go ask questions and stuff, and find out whatever you want." And then as Bond is leaving, we get the classic kill him. He goes
But
to
not now.
Char, and he goes,
Look after Mr. Bond. See that some harm comes to him.
"What a fucking line! I like this."
Again, they can't just have him say kill him because it's this character. Drax has to say like 8 words.
Yeah, see that some harm comes to him.
Corinne Dufour.
You have
by
to
the way,
get
is the name of this character.
triple word score, Mr. Bond.
So Bond goes and does some misogyny. Sorry, Bond does some more misogyny.
Yeah, I have this in as Moonraker sexist.wav, right? But Bond goes to meet one of the like scientists working on the space shuttle named Dr. Holly Goodhead. That's her name. Dr. Holly Goodhead. And the way that Bond introduces himself is thusly.
I am looking for Dr. Goodhead.
You just found her.
A woman.
I wrote that down. I took he literally cannot stop himself from saying to this woman's face,
A woman.
a woman. Yes.
A woman.
A woman.
In the way that someone would see a fucking hors d'oeuvre and be like, ooh,
Ooh,
what about
treats.
deviled
Little
eggs?
treat for
Hell
me,
yes.
Mr. Bond. Yes, a woman is the Bond boy's reward. Non-shit, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I hate him so much, but she's like, right, okay, what do we have in a space lab? What about the thing that goes round and round and spins you? A centrifuge. We got one of those.
She puts him in the Bond Wiggler. The Ultra Bond Wiggler.
We've previously had the Bond Wiggler. This is like the Bond, the Bond rotator, the Bond whirler.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
We have invented a next generation Bond Wiggler.
And he keeps explaining it to her.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, what you do is you put the astronauts
Right, I
in
know
here,
what this does.
and you spin them around, and it simulates the burble. And she's like, I know, I fucking built it. I work here. Stop explaining things to me, Roger Moore.
She does get him back though, because her opening move is like, yeah, you can take 7 Gs in this thing, can't you, champ? What are you, a pussy? Her line is, a 70-year-old can take 7 Gs. Roger Moore looks 70 by this point, is the thing. But he's like, no, 70-year-old.
He also says, there's never a 70-year-old around when you need one. And my notes say, what? Dude!
That's a line, isn't it?
What? What are you talking about?
Don't worry, Mr. Bond. We're going to put you in the Bond whirrer, but if you want to stop, we're going to give you a safe word.
This is what we call a chicken switch.
Well, we call the chicken switch. So we call the chicken switch. It's a chicken switch. And if you want to stop,
That's a chicken switch.
you take your finger off of the chicken switch, and it stops, right?
Yeah, so in case you pass out, it stops automatically. Is the
Yeah,
idea.
smart little system.
I'm going to leave now and leave you to it. Enjoy being wiggled.
No, she gets tactically removed by
you're right,
Shah,
yeah.
who just goes like, hey, you got to go, make a phone call
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
And she's like, righto.
And then
he immediately walks into the control panel and goes, hey, bud, you gotta go make a phone call, right? Just sits down.
Master of stealth. Cha rules. And we get a bunch of shots of which I can only describe the vibe as duplicitous Asian. A bunch of shots of him looking sinister as he switches the wire around. And he's slowly turning up the wiggler. It's not like Lippy with in Thunderball, where he just he bumps the wiggler up to maximum and then books it. No, he's along for the ride. He is wiggling
having fun with
Bond
it.
progressively more intensively, and Roger Moore is getting air pumped into his face with a hairdryer to try and look like he's under more and more G-force. There's going to be some great stills from this. This really is we're spoiled for choice in episode art, and I genuinely feel that this is preview material. Right? I feel like we need to include in the preview the fact that this movie includes both Bond G-force face. It includes Bond wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
It includes him wearing gondoliers.
James Bond has never had a good fit apart from the two I flagged up in the previous bonus episode.
No, terrible stuff. But Bond gets aggressively wiggled, and he tries pushing the...
This is what we call a chicken switch.
And the chicken switch does not work. The chicken switch has been sabotaged.
Mm-hmm.
And Bond is being wiggled too much. He is sustaining 13 G, and Bond is getting spun and spun and spun. And of course, we know that he has to rescue himself, but he does so by means of half remembering his Assassin's Creed dart gun thing, and just
it's quite a tense scene actually. He has
this is fine.
flexing, and he shoots something, and that makes it stop. and it cuts back to Char, who has a little disappointed look, which I really like. He's
he's just like an man kind of a face on him. Fantastic.
He's seen Rising Sun. He knows that failure will not be tolerated in Japan.
That's right. So Bond gets
Is
to
that
like
actor
go back
Japanese?
to his.
Is he actually Japanese?
Yeah, he actually is
Okay, thank
Japanese.
God. I thought,
Yeah, Toshiro Suga.
I thought they were just gonna do what they did with Harold Sakata and just get a Hawaiian guy and be like, nah, he's from Korea. Like,
Bond gets to go back to his like room in the chateau because Drax has, I guess, put him up. He's like, I'm gonna fuck this helicopter pilot for information. I'm gonna fuck Willem Dafoe, which leads to a baffling line, possibly one of my favorite in this movie.
I just wrote bizarre line here, and I know what you're getting to.
So she says to him, my mother gave me a list of things not to do on a first date. And he's like, no.
It's a classic. That's a great starter line.
Woman. And so
you've got boundaries, do you?
I'm going to vitiate those. And so he starts kissing her, right? And like, she's into it for a change. And as he's like getting her down on the bed. No, she is not.
No, she is not. He kisses her, and she's like physically like not into it. And she says, "You presume a great deal, Mr. Bond." And then my notes say,
I think that's acting.
No, my notes say, "Oh, suddenly she is," and then she starts like kissing him more. No, because she acted too good. It's not playful enough. She's like, no, but then suddenly, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I took that line to mean like, you are very audacious, but I will have sex with you. But the way in which she reads
I read it. Like,
the way that she reads it is like, I do not want to have sex with you. That's
and then
true.
Suddenly she does. My notes say they shag inexplicably.
They shag inexplicably, but as they're about to, Bond says, oh, what about that list of things your mother told you not to do? And she says,
I never learned to read.
What?
It's so good.
She's not even as intelligent as Honey Ryder, who was reading the encyclopedia.
It's such a phenomenal scene, because this woman has flown a helicopter.
You don't have to read to do that. You don't have to be literate to do that.
Sure, maybe that's a joke line, right? Like maybe she's doing a bit there, but I would prefer to read it.
Yeah,
as this character literally cannot read.
I never learned to read.
I think if she had said, I never bothered to read it, that might have been like a sexy, playful.
Fuck, maybe that was the line.
Like,
it's just
I'm
like
too like bad of a girl to like bother reading what my mum tells me to do. Instead, she's like, actually, I can't read.
We cut back to them on the bed together, and Bond is like reading her The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
So Bond goes through her safe.
Bastard.
Bond goes through her safe. In fact, it's even funny. It supports the idea of comedy because Bond goes through her safe and finds some secret plans. And she's like, what are they? And presumably it's because she can't read them.
Yeah. Drax has stored his fucking like top secret data in this woman's safe because it's the safest fucking place.
It's like the Prestige. He only employs blind men so no one steals his tricks. Like
she can't fucking read.
Sorry, listeners, we should clarify that we are not making fun of people who can't read or who can't read strongly. We are making fun of the fact that, like, randomly this woman just can't read and chooses this moment to bring it up.
I think it's genuinely like a line in Zoolander. Like, my only regret is that I never learned to read. So Bond breaks into the safe and finds some documents. He takes some photos of them, and like his little camera has a special 007 lens. Not shit. Hate it. And the notes, the papers in the safe are like schematics for glass, and they lead him to a glass factory in Venice.
Meanwhile, Drax has the pilot who can't read killed. He has her torn apart by dogs.
He has her torn apart by dogs.
What a harrowing scene.
Genuinely quite like a well shot, dramatic, tense scene. It's good that they can do like one or two of those a movie.
It's a bit undercut by the fact that like she starts off at like a walking pace, and Char lets the dogs off the leash. She runs by the golf cart that she drove into that scene on, and she runs past that at a gentle jog in order to run into the woods. Now, I don't.
Well, she starts off at a gentle jog because the actress was wearing heels for the start of that. But she
That's
swaps
true.
to Converse for like
Nice.
the rest of the scene so she can run faster.
I think that maybe I could outrun a couple of like hunting dogs on a golf cart.
That's such a Devon thing to say. I've been around you too long.
I think if you get me a golf cart and a couple of hunting dogs.
How fast do you think a golf cart goes?
How fast do you think a hunting dog
could
goes?
catch it.
Well, I mean, even so, like, I just stand on top of the golf cart. Like,
Yeah, I mean, obviously at that point he just shoots you, right? But still, take some of the fun out of it.
yeah.
And that's something that we kind of learn about Drax. Is like one of his lines later is, "Mr. Bond, you've denied all of my attempts to give you an amusing death," and that at least is like a better reason for like why he keeps placing Bond in easily escapable situations. Is just like because I'm the Joker, Mr. Bond. I think it's funny.
Everything that Drax does is such like a fucking nouveau riche guy trying to justify his wealth. So everything he does is like old world aristocratic shit, like getting a fucking mansion from France pulled over so he seems a little bit more legitimate. He like shoots pheasants and he plays piano and he fucking golfs, and it's like, man, just you can just have a hobby if you want, you know. You don't have to tie every single aspect of your life back to this.
So Corinne Dufour really does fit our sort of general pattern of girl who helps Bond and is then killed immediately.
That's true.
You should not assist James Bond. You will die. He will not make any effort to save you, and you will die. Because it's the only way the script knows to establish, like, danger.
You don't have to be able to read to see a red flag, you know. It's fine.
I never learned to read.
What a shame. She
Damn
died
shame.
with that. She died without ever learning how to read.
That means she never read Garfield.
Bond is like not aware of this, but at no point does he give a fuck. Right? He's like never even.
He's
like,
already gone to Venice. He's already fucked
He's already
up.
gone to Venice. He's in Venice.
He just about survives like a shooting attempt against him by shooting the guy who was going to shoot him like out of a tree, and then Drax clearly knows that he's just done this, and Drax is like, "Oh well, catch you next time, buddy."
Well, this is worth a shot, wasn't it? Yeah. So Bond goes to Venice. He's in a gondola, and they try to do a drive-by on a gondola with him.
No.
Gondola?
A bondola, yes, the bondola.
But firstly, he bumps into Dr. Goodhead, who also happens to be there, and he asks her out in a very like sex pest way, and she shoots him down stylishly because he says, "Can you think of a reason why we shouldn't have a drink?" And she says, "Not immediately, but I'm sure I shall."
Nice.
So good.
Get his ass.
He does nothing but sex pest shit from the second he arrives in Venice. I clipped this for the James Bond account a little while ago, but it's like this. He walks into this glass blowing workshop, and there's just an absolute smoke show of a lass right in the front, and she goes, "Can I interest you in anything?" And like he immediately responds like,
one sex, please."
I'm tempted to say yes immediately, but I should probably have a look around. And the expression that she gives is such like a perfect, come on, man.
Fuck you. Yeah.
It's like a perfect like 2 to 3 frame micro expression before she reads the rest of a line that is so like, okay, however you wish.
So Bond is in the gondola, and they try to kill him from a hearse, a boat hearse. A guy.
I want a movie about this guy.
A guy, an assassin sits up in a coffin, the lid of which is covered in knives, and just starts hucking knives
it's like
at Bond.
Not even that. He sits up in this coffin, the lid
Like
of which
the fucking
doesn't have any knives on,
Undertaker.
but then like a fucking like fan of knives like come up from the side, and he selects 2 from it, and I'm like, who is this guy? And tell me everything about him.
A million times more interesting than Char.
But
I'll say
again, this
that
is
much.
just a remix of the Jazz Funeral from Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
Just doing the same shit.
Yeah. Now,
Who's the funeral for?
you, big guy.
And then Bond just immediately kills him.
Yeah, Bond kills him.
Yeah.
And
And
like,
then we
just
have
a
a
knife,
boat
throws it
chase
back,
because
whatever.
Roger Moore cannot make a Bond film without there being some kind of, I've written, watercraft shenanigans.
I have here 2 boat chases per movie, no exceptions. That's the Roger Moore promise.
My note is James Bond is primarily a series of films about boats.
That's true. That's true.
It's just
That is
other
true.
shit happening.
Yeah,
It's because these movies are made for dads, and dads
he's a
love
boatsman.
boats.
That's true.
Dads love a boat.
So
They
we
love
get a
boats.
chase. We get a chase through the canals of Venice, in which Bond motorizes his gondola, in like a queue-like fashion, and then escapes by inflating a hovercraft cushion beneath it and driving it across St. Mark's Square.
It's the same as the
same
Lotus from the
movie.
last film.
It's just another aquatic vehicle.
There's some of the same reaction shots.
They do the same joke where the guy looks at him and then looks at an alcohol bottle and is like,
with the same guy.
Is
With
that-
the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy because he's
Oh
the
my
head of
God.
the second division.
Second unit,
filming
yeah,
guys
yeah.
who second unit in Italy. And they had a second unit in Italy, and this comes up because this is the second of 3 films in which Bond cannot stop going to Italy. You just like go 3 in a row. And it's all got that one guy doing the fucking reaction. Also, and I wrote this in full caps, double spaced, pigeon double take.
Shitty pigeon editing. We see a pigeon do a double take, but the way that they have done that is to take a shot of a pigeon moving its head to one side and to cut a frame of it back in so it looks like it looks twice, but it doesn't though.
No, and it's so bad.
And like
Cool.
a dog is like,
Fantastic.
Fine, great, fine. Bond goes to the glass company, and we get the scene where he like nonces up the lady up front. Woman.
A woman?
A woman. We see that they have a glass museum, which is like Chekhov's glass museum being moved to center stage here. Bond infiltrates back behind the glass blowing factory to find a secret lab.
This scene's good.
Yeah, in this secret lab, we have guys in lab coats distilling liquids into little glass vials, and then those goes into like bigger glass vials, and those go into pods, right?
These pods are the most Star Wars control panel looking ass things.
Astromech droid looking pods.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what was popular when this movie came out? Star Wars. How can you tell? All of the ways. So
How could you tell? Because the end credits of the previous movie said James Bond will return in.
For your eyes only?
for your eyes only,
For your eyes
yes.
they all
and then
sound
they
the same.
moved this one up.
But instead, they were like, ooh, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
So they did
There's a
Moonraker.
good bit of visual storytelling though, because Bond takes one of these vials, and he in so doing he moves some stuff around, and he like secrets one of the vials in his top pocket, and then the scientists come back in, and he hides behind a kind of airlocked door, and because he's moved the other vials, as the scientists are packing up, they knock one of the vials over and it smashes, and they're like, oh no, get out, and then they die like quite horribly. And Bond is behind the sealed door, so he doesn't. So it's a good bit of visual storytelling that tells us that whatever
was
in
nice.
these vials is pretty fucking deadly.
Bond does not practice good lab safety. Hugo Drax also does not practice good lab safety. Give these guys like a gas mask or something. Like it's
It's not even wearing their goggles. If either of my students were doing this kind of shit in a lab,
yeah. You
Be
gotta
right back
get
for
one of the
classroom.
little like plastic aprons too. No, 100%. Like Hugo Drax is getting a terrible rating on Hench after this.
Now at this point, my notes say Asian man attacks ridiculously.
well, I wrote Kendo Nagasaki.
I
but
also wrote Kendo Nagasaki.
Oh, here he is.
I also have one line of notes that simply says ah.
Yeah, Bond turns the corner after having leaving this place. That's a great sentence construction, but still. Bond turns the corner after having left this place, and fucking someone steps out from behind a pillar, and it is Cha, dressed
Wearing
still in a
full
kimono.
kendo gear. Full kendo
He's got
gear
a
with the
kendo
mask.
fucking sword. And it's like, I would have used like a bladed weapon of some description. Like,
I would have
I
used a gun.
appreciate maybe you're really good at kendo.
Could have brought the dogs that we've seen killed or what? No, we're doing kendo.
Yeah.
And every time he swings the kendo stick, he's going to go, ah!
Well, I
Like,
mean, that's just proper kendo.
every time.
Like, he's doing very
Yeah.
good kendo at the moment. But the problem with that is that James Bond doesn't know kendo, so he doesn't understand when he's supposed to get hit.
No.
So he just easily avoids every attack and then wins. Actually, well, look, we shouldn't skip over the details of this fight.
They throw each other through every piece of glass in the glass museum, right?
It's
we
like
knew
that
that was
scene
happening.
in like John Wick, whatever, 2 or 3.
At the time, the largest amount of sugar glass used in a single scene in any movie ever.
The thing is, I don't begrudge them this,
like
right?
it.
Like it's dumb as hell, but you see them setting it up, and you're like, yeah, somebody's going to get thrown through all of that shit, and you're just like, yeah, all right.
They kind of play around with it as well, because when Bond is at first going through the glass museum, they have a museum guide pointing at this big, like, blue sort of shallow dish and talking about how valuable and expensive it is. And then throughout the entire fight, everything else is getting smashed apart from that dish, which is still on like a pillar in the middle of the room. And there's a point where Bond manages to like catch it and put it back on. And then Char just like smashes it in his hands, not even as an attack. He just picks it up and obliterates it. And I really thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is a good moment.
Again, this movie was created by the person who wrote The Good Bits of Spy Who Loved Me and a baboon.
Yeah, and now it's baboon time,
Unfortunately, they
baby,
have swapped
because
back.
Bond is going to he is going to break into Holly Goodhead's hotel room.
Whoa, hold on. How do they kill Char?
Oh, Christ. He throws Char out of a clock face into a piano? Harpsichord?
Yeah,
Some kind of
like that.
hammered stringed instrument, but like
Does he have a Bond line? Because I don't have
play
anything
it
written
again,
down.
Sam.
Oh,
Play
God.
it again, Sam.
Oh, why did you ask that?
Because I didn't write it down. I was like, he must have said something.
Roger Moore.
Yeah. But hearing it, now I'm very upset again.
Yeah, play it again, Sam.
So, I love this bit because Bond breaks into Holly Goodhead's room. She has apparently just been addressing an astrophysics conference.
Yep.
However, she has been doing it in a white, backless, sleeveless dress. And
Listen,
I'm like, I mean, you look
astrophysicists are a horny
amazing.
lot.
She looks amazing. She's also blonde and has an American accent, so she ticks both of my boxes. Those are the only 2 requirements. But I'm like, it's a lovely dress, but it's not really appropriate for an academic conference. I mean, I'm all about learning about the heavenly bodies, but come on.
She does have beautiful enunciation.
Personally, the spray bottle moment for me was Drax's polycule when he's out like hunting. They're wearing little hunting capes and hats, and I was just like,
of course you would know.
adorable.
To be fair, that is good, yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, set the dogs on me. Anyway, so he breaks into her hotel room while she's asleep. And like, because he thinks that she might be in cahoots with Char, right? The way in which he wakes her up is by switching on the light, and when she goes to like get it, he grabs her and he goes, ah! He makes the noise.
Wah! Yeah, I wrote that down.
He makes the noise. He's like, you thought it was the guy who makes this noise all of the time, but it was me, James Bond. Ah.
But she's just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
It's
what? He like ransacks her room, finding various articles of silly bullshit.
Yeah, it's like Q side gags
perfume
without
that
him
like
there.
sprays fire, and like a pen that is also like a venom syringe, and
yeah.
because
He's
she's
like,
CIA. That's what he learns.
And he deduces this from the silly bullshit. He's like, he says, this is standard CIA equipment. And I'm like, fucking which of this shit did they use to kill JFK?
Yeah, no wonder these cunts couldn't get Castro. Fucking dipshits.
We're coming at Fidel with the fucking Christian Dior that's a flamethrower. And we're going to get him this time.
Ridiculous.
So they sort of agree to work together, but she like coquettishly refuses to trust him. And he's like, no, this is a lot like the last movie I did with a spy who didn't trust me, isn't it? Don't you remember that? Wasn't that a fun time? Did you like the previous James Bond movie, The Spy Who Loved Me?
Once again, my notes say they shag inexplicably.
They shag inexplicably.
Also, she has hair on her upper lip, which... That's the representation that I enjoy.
Fantastic. We get a cutaway scene of Hugo Drax finding out that his main man has been obliterated in a comical fashion. And he goes, fuck, well, we need another assassin to kill Bond.
Yeah, we need a guy.
And like, it's a great, well-acted thing because like there's just silence because obviously he's on the phone and he goes, Well, if you think you can get him, absolutely. And then the next scene
it's
is
quite cute.
the big man himself, Richard fucking Keel, walking through like an airport, and his teeth set off the alarm. Fantastic.
Perfect.
There's a fun bit where Bond, M, and the Minister of Defense are all in Venice, and Bond's like, I found this lab that's full of chemicals, and they go in, and the lab is gone, and like Drax is there, and he has this great line where he says, not being English, I find your sense of humor rather difficult to follow, because Bond and M and the Minister of Defense are all standing there in gas masks, like, aha, and he's like, what are you doing? But
I pulled the Dr. No move. I moved my entire base overnight in order to troll you. Yeah. So Bond gets in trouble for this, right? Emma's like, you have to like take 2 weeks of leave. Wink, wink, and figure this out, and I can't know anything about it.
Because Priti Patel sacks him.
M's being a lot nicer to Bond in this one, because if you think back to like The Man with the Golden Gun, every scene with M was just like,
you were strangled as a child, 007.
Wish you'd come out with your umbilical cord wrapped around your throat, James, you piece of shit idiot. But in this one, he's being quite fatherly, which I really
he's like avuncular. Yeah.
Also, when Drax is on the phone hiring Jaws, it's a cool space phone.
Oh yeah, no,
it's all like white and like fold and like blocky. Space phone.
So it's time for James Bond to go to the next location.
Oh yeah, where's next location?
Next location is Rio de Janeiro. The reason why it's Rio de Janeiro is because of some clue bullshit that's not important. Like, they could just as well have said, next location, Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah. Drax is moving his operation to Rio de Janeiro. Why? Because next location.
Because it's time to
Because it's the next location in the movie. Come on.
It's the time to check into the hotel, observe a sort of nasty little homophobic stereotype concierge, and meet a sexy lady who is like who works for the local MI6 station. And she's like, well, I can help you get into this warehouse where...
Zero drip, once again. Brown shirt, white suit, dog shit.
Absolutely
not just zero drip though, lads. It's a new Pussycock record.
Oh,
did anyone else hit the timer? I was like, hang on a fucking second. 1 minute and 55 seconds.
Fuck me.
From Manuela first appearing on screen in the car as she follows Bond from the airport to them shagging. 1 minute, 55 seconds, smashing the previous record from Goldfinger of 2 minutes 33.
He works fast when he's on vacation.
Eat shit.
Yeah, Manuela 155, baby.
Fuck, oh my god. Yeah, because she's like, she's a Rio de Janeiro only character in this movie, so they had to get her entire James Bond accomplice arc out of the way, which is meat. Fuck,
yeah, and his line is like, "How do you spend 5 hours in Rio if you don't samba? By having sex with me, Roger Moore."
No fucking way he spent 5 hours.
How do you spend 3 minutes in Rio? I have to go cry in the bathroom afterwards. That should fill up another 10.
It is, of course, Carnival.
Oh, of course, because he's in next location.
Do you mind if I wear the third nipple I got from the man with the golden gun? I find it arouses me.
Well, I admit it is a little kink.
Ever heard
All right, so they go to like they go to break into this warehouse where Drax's like air freight thing is headquartered. But it's Carnival because it's always the time when a city does the thing that it's famous for in James Bond movies.
Absolutely.
And we will see this again in fucking Spectre. Even it's Carnival, and so everybody's dancing, everybody's happy, everybody's in the streets. And as Bond breaks in, he like leaves her behind in the alley to be like, don't talk to any strange men. Also, please don't tell anyone about the crying I did.
For the love of God, please. It's a matter of national
really embarrassing.
It's about the crying.
This never normally happens. I'm usually very adept.
Yeah, so we get genuinely quite menacing Jaws for most of the scene, and then
terrifying Jaws clown.
Yeah,
he's wearing a terrifying clown outfit.
And obviously, he's head and shoulders taller than every other motherfucker on Earth, but his clown outfit is a little bit taller even than him. So this just monstrous clown is walking down this alley
in a long shot, and like they really hold that long shot too, which is that was good. That was deft. Instead of like zooming in and being like, "Yo, check this guy out, it's Jaws." Instead, it gives you the like sort of looming horror. Anyway, Jaws picks her up. Yeah, Jaws picks her up. He tries to bite her. Bond jumps on him. Tries to hit him, doesn't work because Jaws, metal.
He's consistently
painful.
being accosted by people coming out of a bar nearby and just like dancing down the street.
It's this sort of like comedy of errors where like they're constantly getting danced apart by crowds who are like not reading the murder vibe.
And they can't kill each other because obviously it would be too conspicuous,
Yeah.
So Jaws
is swept away quite comedically by a crowd of dancing people.
As he's swept away, he starts dancing too. He's just like, yeah, all right.
It's such a good scene because it only takes place in the background of Bond and Manuela talking. But in
Richard Kiel is such a fucking good actor. He's just like bumping the arms a little bit in like Jaws, resignation,
like trying to get through the crowd to get back at them, and then eventually just going like, it's carnival and joining them. It's fantastic.
So, what else is in Rio? Do we know what else is in
I'll
Rio?
See you in next location, James.
What else is in Rio? Rio, it's fucking Cristo Redentor is what else is in Rio.
That's right. There's a cable car.
It's the big statue of Jesus T-posing.
Lupin III stole it that one time.
That's right.
And OSS 117 got in a fight on top of it another time.
We'll watch that at some point, probably.
Yeah, Bond goes up there and like uses the like viewing telescope things to like spy on the airport, where he is able to zoom in with this to read the side of a plane and be like, oh, that says Drax air freight. This is like, we gotta infiltrate that airport.
Yeah.
Well, he deduces that Drax is like packing up. Because he didn't find anything in the warehouse, and he's like, oh shit, like Drax is already flying out of here. There was no point coming here. Oh, but Dr. Goodhead is here on the cable car.
Would you like to do some more détente with me?
Oh, baby. Do you know who else is on that cable car?
It's Jaws.
It's Jaws
He's
and
back,
another
baby.
guy.
Jaws brings a guy, and this guy's sole job is to like move the cable cars. So Bond and Dr. Holly Goodhead are getting the cable car back down, having kind of agreed to work together, but also not trust each other. Much like the movie The Spy Who Loved Me, which you may remember. And
I like that one.
Jaws bites through the cable car cable to strand them.
Yep.
This cable was made out of licorice, by the way.
Yeah, again, would have made that a steal myself, but
and then has his guy like move him on top of another cable car until he's parallel with them, so he can jump across and fight them.
This is such a
cut the cable, man. Just cut the cable.
God assassination attempt. And also
that's why you pay him the big bucks, is because Jaws is willing to go out there after them.
Jaws engineered this scenario from the fucking start. He wasn't forced into this position. He was like, no, I'm going to kill him on top of the cable car. And he also, Richard Kiel, he can't really jump that great. So the shot of him jumping across is just like him swinging his arms back. And then essentially you just selected him in Photoshop and moved him across. And then he just fights these two on top of a cable car.
Yeah, it turns out that fighting on top of a cable car, the top of a cable car, not a great fight location. Sounds cooler than it is.
Yeah, it feels like Jaws even himself made that mistake, because he's like,
actually, this is.
You expect it to be like rocking around and stuff, but they don't really have the technology to do that. So instead, it's just and you have all this like winding gear and shit at the top of the cable car, so they're like ducking under and through that and stuff, and it's just a bit awkward, really, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the word.
Bond punches Jaws in the face and like dings his hand because his teeth are made of metal, and then Bond punches him in the dick and balls, which are also made of metal.
That doesn't happen till later in the movie. That does happen later.
Not?
It doesn't happen in this scene. It does happen later. But yeah, it turns out that Jaws also just has like
metal dick and balls.
Yeah, I don't know what pathway he went through at the gender identity clinic, but it's all just like steel down there now.
It's a good thing he was called Jaws and not like
balls.
Balls.
Yeah.
Get me balls.
Balls, Q.
Yes!
Fucking snipe him in the
Oh,
neck.
fantastic. Yeah, so my notes here just say true commitment to the task at hand and then like, yeah, all right for the next one.
Yeah.
Which is
So Bond escapes with Dr. Goodhead by riding the cable car down the cable car cable down on a chain
Yeah.
while
This is the
Jaws
first.
chases them.
yeah, all right.
They drop off and land on some convenient grass, and Jaws is unable to stop the cable car in time and demolishes the like base station with him in the car. And of course, we see him like dust himself off.
Well, we don't.
No, he doesn't dust
We
himself
don't.
off.
He can't get out.
No, his metal dick and balls are about to get polished by someone else for a change because we meet Jaws' love interest, who everybody falsely remembers as having braces, even though she doesn't.
Does she not? I seem to remember her having braces.
When did you see this film? In between,
just
like,
now. Yeah, I'm looking at the
days ago.
pictures.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have braces.
Does not have braces. Everybody thinks she does because she looks kind of like she might do. She's got like wire-rimmed glasses and she's got like two big long pigtails and no braces.
I
Anyway,
think it'd be a funny foil because he has the metal teeth, so I think it'd be funny for her to have.
yeah, everybody thinks that, but she doesn't have them.
Huh.
So she sees him trapped under this wheel, and it's love at first sight, right? And you get the like love music. I don't even remember what it is. It might be like it's some fucking adagio. Who cares? And you're like, oh, this is cute and funny, and it's like humanizing. And she helps him move the wheel off, and they like open a bottle of. No, they don't.
No, they just
That's
walk
later.
off hand in hand.
They just walk off hand.
Yeah.
in
This is
hand.
another yeah, all right.
The original plan was to have her be a little person, and then I think Richard Keel was like, no, like it doesn't. She doesn't need to. In fact, no, sorry, I've got that backwards. The original plan was to have her also be really, really tall. And Richard Keel said, well, actually, what if she was just normal size? Because and then the director was like, would that work? And Richard Keel was like, well, my wife is like a normal sized woman. So, and the director's like, oh yeah, fair point.
Wait,
fine.
you're
And-
telling? I mean, sometimes you remember that in the 1970s, people just genuinely believed things like you can't have sex with a like average-sized woman if you're too tall.
Yeah.
Sure, fine,
Richard Keel's,
whatever.
both of Richard Keel's wives, normal sized.
Oh. That's the like weirdest review we've ever given an actor on this
Well,
podcast.
yeah, you had to have two of them so that they could add up.
Two normal-sized wives.
Two normal sized women.
Bond and Dr. Holly Goodhead. You can hear me sighing every time I have to say it.
Once again, that's Dr. Holly Goodhead.
Dr. Holly Goodhead, that's her name, are like rescued by paramedics as they're like fucking. And Bond is like, no, actually, I think we're doing quite well. I don't require anything. And Bond is then immediately coshed over the back of the head.
This is another yeah, all right.
Yeah, all right.
Some series
fine.
of things just happened, and I was like, yeah, okay, I suppose it would.
Yeah.
Fake ambulance.
Both of them get tied up in the back of a fake ambulance, which, again, I think I've seen that movie.
You get the most beautiful possible product placement, which is that the ambulance just drives past a series of billboards for 7-Up and Marlboro. So if you ever wanted to pick some of those up.
Bond, like, kind of like inveigles his way out by using Holly Goodhead to distract the one guy in the back in a very sort of Fujiko Mino sort of way. Like, I kind of want to have sex with you while I'm tied to this stretcher. And he's like, I'm going to keep looking in this direction the whole time.
Oh boy, I hope nothing's happening behind me. Ugh!
Not paying attention to this guy. Yeah, and he gets like tied to the stretcher and kicked out the back into a billboard. Bond escapes, but Dr. Holly Goodhead does not. And the fake ambulance drives off,
And
leaving
then-
him alone.
Inexplicably.
My notes say James Bond, dressed as a cowboy, rides to a kung fu monastery.
I have Cowboy Bond.
My note, not to try to one up either of you here, I've written Nonce Quixote.
I guess strictly speaking, it should be like Gaucho Bond or like Vaquero Bond. I don't know what the Portuguese equivalent would be.
This is just like the previous fucking movie where we had Nonce of Arabia, where he was just on a camel. Now he's just on a horse going to a location.
Salam alaikum, it's me, James Bond.
He goes to a pedo villa. There's a monk with a laser. I don't know, man. What things are happening?
He's wearing like a poncho and a hat too. There's the music from the Magnificent Seven plays, and he's just like,
because it's like,
ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Yeah, cool, fine, okay. Yeah. He goes to a monastery where we deploy what I will call the like field headquarters scene, right? Like he goes to a landmark, and improbably M and Moneypenny and Q are there, and Q is testing a bunch of silly bullshit. Q is testing a set of like explosive bolas.
Yep.
Balls, Q.
Oh. Fine, cool. Sure.
They never come up again.
Yeah.
He's got a laser gun.
Yeah.
And he's been doing some analysis of the nerve gas that Bond found. Mm-hmm. And he has determined that it's synthesized from a single, extremely rare orchid.
And again, Bond knows what this orchid is.
Bond not only knows what this orchid is, he corrects Q on where it was found. He was like, a missionary brought it back from the Amazoko River. And Bond is like, actually, it was the Tipitaka River. It's orchids. Fine, sure, okay.
Because we gotta have another boat chase.
It's boat chase number 2. No boats exceptions. Again. 2 boat chases.
More boats, baby.
Bond gets to drive a special speedboat up the Amazon. He gets to like blow up a couple of like henchman boats.
Well, that's actually a mistake because he blows up some very obvious crash dummies instead.
Yeah,
there is one funny scene, right, where a henchman boat has to like sort of jump into the shot like over a ramp, and it looks like it fully knocks out one of the extras in it, and they just kept it in. It's just there's just a guy in the front who just gets slammed, and you're just like, yeah, all right.
Jaws is there.
Jaws chases him. Jaws falls off a waterfall, and Bond again deploys some silly bullshit. He activates a hang glider. Do you remember that from my other film, Live and Let Die, where I had a hang glider?
Yeah,
and I hang glided in to get that solitaire.
He's supposed to be in the middle of the Amazon. The waterfall that he comes off is approximately the entire size of Brazil south of there. It's on the border between Argentina and Brazil.
Nice.
Whatever.
It's also about 3 feet high, which is funny.
I mean, Roger Moore wasn't anywhere near that anyway because he's just very badly green screened in.
What?
Yeah. I hope you enjoy shots of like Roger Moore in front of paintings, because there are a lot of them where he's like flying around. But like, okay, fine. Bond, it's time for you to move to next location. Bond, you have to land the thing conveniently next to a Mesoamerican temple?
Oh, because we're in the Amazon, baby. So where the fuck else could you be?
We're in the Amazon. It's got a step pyramid, like right there.
Yeah. They have some strange lore about the
pyramid is not related by blood.
Too.
No.
Because Drax says some shit about the location, and it's like, okay, all right, cool.
Sure.
There's a bunch of sexy ladies in jumpsuits there. It's all the trainee astronauts from earlier on.
The woman
I love the sexy astronauts.
The woman he spots and follows is the same woman that he nonced at in the fucking front room of the glass.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what are you doing here?
Which means Drax was wasting like a member of his polycule working reception in her off hours in Venice, which is very funny.
And she looks so much worse than she did in that first scene as well. Because they've got her dressed in like a stereotypical fucking Road to El Dorado ass, like attractive woman white gown. Lost civilization shit. And it's like, come on, man.
But now, I do like the rest of the astronauts because they're all wearing like white jumpsuits. And also, not only are they all 10 out of 10 smoke shows, we see that like it's not racist. It's like not a race thing is the vibe here. It's like the like mid 1970s vibe of diversity, right? Is like there is one black person in each scene, so you get the message that like it's not racist.
Mm-hmm. Which I mean, they would have been like he's the villain, so like
Yeah, could have been, but it's not. It's not. He's not racist. He's an intersectional villain.
Well, he's not racist, so he's the villain because he's not racist. Because the heroes are racist, you see.
Yeah, he knows. He like employs an Asian man and also like a couple of black people. It's cool. Anyway, so James Bond has to defeat him, but Drax shows up with some goons who are wearing the worst henchman outfit in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the helmets that these guys are wearing?
Talk about the helmets, Queen. Speak your truth.
I don't know. How would you describe the helmets that these guys are wearing? Because they're like old-timey American football helmets that have been inflated, and they're also yellow and black.
I'm trying to find a picture because it's been a little while since I've seen them. Sorry.
They look. I don't know. I'm really struggling with how else I can describe these helmets other than like sort of coded by a guy who had 4 polygons to work with.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I found a picture here. And I appreciate this is an audio medium, of course, but holy fucking
fine. We'll get
shit!
slides.
This is okay. So it's like the top half of the kind of shit you wear when you've like broken your neck. It's like a head brace, but without any of the bits that descend past the ear. I mean, let me just put this in the Discord.
He put all of his cool design points into the base. Because the base is really good.
Yeah, Ken Adams
also wearing like yellow jumpsuits with like massive gold belt buckles in like Drax's like insignia, which is cool. Yeah. Drax tries to kill Bond again by like dumping him into a swimming pool. It's not like my film Thunderball.
Again, what's a deadly aquatic animal that we haven't used yet? Anaconda.
Anaconda, yeah.
Yeah, fuck it.
Anaconda. An anaconda tries to strangle Bond.
He kills it in like 20 seconds with the pen.
He kills it with the CIA like JFK murdering pen.
Mm-hmm.
And Drax is like, you know, I was trying to have fun with it, right? I could have killed you easily at any time, but instead I was trying to like liven things up a bit around here for morale purposes. And every time you just stabbed. Do you know how difficult it is to get a fucking constrictor into a pool to try and murder a guy, and you just fucking stabbed it to death? You piece of shit.
In like 2 seconds as well. It's like an entirely forgettable scene.
Yeah. Anyway, let me show you my plan.
Show you my evil base. He doesn't even tell him the plan yet. He just shows him the evil base from which he is launching space shuttles.
So in this moment, I want to take a second to talk about the sets, because obviously we've got our boy Ken Adams is coming through again. However, you might remember a factoid I brought up in the last episode, which was about the 007 stage, the single largest soundstage in the world ever at the point when they were filming the previous. Tax laws were announced in Great Britain, so the producer, Albert Broccoli, decided not to use any of the sound stages in the UK, including the one that they had built themselves for the previous movie. They did it all in France on the condition that they could use every soundstage in Paris. So they just colonized the entire...
They rebuilt M's office set in Paris rather than film it in Britain and pay more tax.
Really?
That's true.
Second thing about this is Ken Adam here was rather surprised to find out that in France they have these things called unions. And it turns out that they won't just work overtime like he was used to them doing in the UK.
Super base, yeah.
The story, as it is on IMDb, goes that ultimately the crew saw his designs and decided it was worthwhile to work overtime, which I don't know.
That's about the way it should be.
100%.
My ass.
Like my fucking foot, mate. No way.
Sure,
okay. Man. So anyway, all of these sets are union made.
That's right, making this a slightly more ethical than usual Bond movie. So, but Bond is like taken to like meet up with Holly Goodhead again, and Drax is like, you see this orchid, right? It made the people who built this civilization sterile, but I've upgraded it and I'm going to use it to fucking wipe out all life on Earth so we can live beneath the sea. Sorry, no, wait, that's...
No,
I'm confusing.
sorry,
You must be confusing with my other film, The Spy Who Loved Me. So we can live in space. And
No, he's not going to live in space.
He's going to live in space for a bit, and then he's going to send people his like dime pieces, his like smoke shows to repopulate the Earth.
Exactly.
Along like eugenicist lines, but not racistly. So like they're all like they have the best genes and stuff, but also they're not all
best
like
genes,
white and blonde, because it's not a race thing. It's not racist. It is not racist. It's not racist. It's just a eugenics
I cannot
thing.
stress
it's
this enough.
racist.
So for any of our younger fans who maybe haven't seen the movie Moonraker and are wondering if we're maybe making up that the plan of the bad guy is to create a sort of Noah's Ark full of perfect 10 out of 10 himbos and dime pieces in space, you think we might be making this
the whole
up?
World.
No,
That's right.
Also, there's a laser gun fight later. Don't worry.
Also, there will be one of those. So he's like, right, I've had enough of these two. Put them in the conference room that I have under the launch pad to a rocket.
Okay, it's not the exact line he uses, but he says a fucking Drax thing. He says some like over elaborate shit, and Jaws takes fully 5 seconds to start moving, which I can only imagine is him trying to fucking figure out what the order was. He's like, he says some shit like, it's quite cold in here, why don't we move these two to somewhere more temperate or some shit.
Yeah.
And Jaws is like, oh, right, yeah. Got it. Sorry.
He is a triple word score motherfucker. Yes. Put them in the conference room that I have under a rocket launch pad, which is just like fully equipped, like phones and like a table and everything that I assume will be incinerated.
Star Wars control panel.
Although they all retract into the floor in a very cool way.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And that's how Bond figures out, oh, we're about to be incinerated. Because all the conference shit like folds into the floor, and then the top opens up and you see that they're underneath the space shuttle exhaust.
It's very nice, yeah.
Sadly, they escape.
And,
Bond uses his fucking watch, which is full of like det cord, to blow a grate open explosively.
Yeah.
Again, more inexplicable watch gadgets.
Big fans of the series will know that I do love a classic 3-part. I love a setup, a reminder, and then a payoff. That's one of my favorite things to see in a movie. Once again, he has a magic watch. It just solves his problem for him.
Magic shitty digital watch. Magic shitty Seiko. Yeah, so Bond and Holly Goodhead escape. Drax loads his various himbos and herbos into, I guess, like 5 or 6 space shuttles, 5 or 6 Moonrakers.
Yeah.
And like launches them from the middle of the Amazon undetected.
Yeah, so let me just I've made a fucking flowchart here.
Yeah.
So Drax is harvesting these orchids that produce the poison in the Amazon.
Yep.
He then sends the poison to Venice.
That's right.
To be put into glass vials. So he doesn't have the glass vials made in Venice instead of he sends the poison to Venice to be made into glass vials. Sends all of that.
Not sure what he sends it in. Maybe he sends the orchids.
Rio ? And then back to the Amazon from whence it is launched, but the shuttles are built in California.
Yeah.
Have I got that all?
Yeah, no,
that's all correct.
That's exactly his plan, yeah.
It's Abigail. It's called muscle confusion. And he is doing it to the intelligence agencies of the world, and it's working very well. It's only James Bond's willingness to kill anacondas on sight.
This is again, it's just like the previous one where he comes across a villain and he's like, all right, you've had your fun. What's the money you're looking for? And the response is no. I'm just gonna do this, man. No one else knows.
Drax is in this for the fun of it.
No one knows about this.
We even established that Drax Industries built the space shuttles. The only reason he stole one is because the ones that he was going to use developed a fault, so he had to be like, shit, I need another one. He couldn't have just been like, well,
could have delayed it.
Just
delay your fucking plan.
Why did you have to steal it steal it off the back of a 747.
Because the only way International Nonce of Mystery 007 has gotten fucking involved is because this cunt wasn't patient and just stole back.
Why, when Bond came to you, did you try and have him killed? Because that just made it more suspicious.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just be like, well, he tore our facilities. Sadly, I'm sad at the still, and goodbye. Like,
Why would you put him in the Wiggler?
What? Yeah.
How is he here? How has it gone to the point
this?
where James Bond is in the fucking Amazon?
You fucked up so badly.
Why did they let the baboon
in?
The problem is they had the guy who wrote the previous one and the baboon, and they had very strict time schedule for who could write at which point. So you get to frequent points when like there will be a good idea, and then it will be like, oh fuck, the baboons had to take over. Shit.
Fucking hell, we're an hour and 20 minutes in it. They go to space. They go to fucking space.
But Bond gets his second time impersonating an astronaut. If you remember my other film from Russia, you remember my other film, You Only Live Twice,
which canonically happened to the same guy.
Well, I was also an astronaut for a second. I was an astronaut again now. They go to space in the space shuttle. They fly the himbos up there too. They fly Jaws and Jaws' girlfriend up there too.
Shit, because they're not aware of the fucking himbos thing yet. So, like, Dr. Holly Goodhead says, why don't we see what kind of cargo we've got? And they press a button and then just like, oh shit, we got a cargo of pussy. What the? It's just like it's like a passenger
like making out with each other back there
of like perfect himbos sat next to absolute dime pieces, and they're all making
It looks like a fucking conditioner advert. They all have like flowing locks
in an exploding spaceship later on.
Canonically, they all die.
Every fucking single one.
And they all look so happy.
The quality of pussy in the world has gone down a significant amount due to this.
like a letter grade because of James Bond. But they all look deeply like in love with each other. They're happy to be there. They probably don't even know that anything fucked is happening. And like, whatever, fine. They find the space station that Drax has secretly built in orbit.
You get a that's
in
no
space.
moon scene.
Now, I have mixed feelings about this, right? Because it does make me quite sad to realize that the idea of a city in space, even, notwithstanding like Star Wars and stuff like that, was strange and like futuristic and fantastical, but not that fantastical at the time this was made, right? Like, it's the difference between audiences then going, oh, that's cool, and us going, that's ridiculous. The best we can do in space is like 4 scientists floating around up there smelling each other's farts for a year. Like, the narrowing of the fucking horizons there really badly depressed me in as shitty and as dumb a movie as this was. Just to see this go from like, oh yeah, we'll probably like be living in space or underwater at some point in the future. That's something on the agenda.
Greetings to our comrades in the 21st century.
Oh,
we
know that you have eradicated war.
Don't even. I will cry.
Me too, man. God, they had such high hopes for us.
It's almost like we're being haunted by something.
I don't think so. Listen,
anyway,
I'm on record as hating space. I think it's good that we won't go up there. So this is fine for me.
Yeah, well, now all of our science fiction is about like dying planets.
There was definitely a notable point at which when you asked someone to imagine the future, there was a definite moment when it stopped being like fucking cities in space and like hover cars and started just being like
this but worse
shit everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
There was also a definite moment where I realized that whenever I imagined the future, I was always a woman.
Strange.
Interesting. Yeah, weird how that happens. Anyway, so like they like infiltrate the space station and are immediately captured by Jaws. Like immediately, he's like standing behind them.
Yeah,
he's like standing behind them, like, hi.
He's so happy to see them. He's like, I'm so glad I get to kill you myself.
It's great.
Yeah.
This is where we discover that he has metal balls.
Oh, okay. So he after this, he brings them before Drax, and Drax is like, once again, I must stress, Mr. Bond, that I am not racist.
Yeah, okay. He's also not misogynistic either, because half of his crew of hench dweebs behind him are women. It's like a perfect 50-50 split. This will come up later.
Yeah. And he's like, well, the world is like depraved and terrible. And like, it's not, we don't, only oil companies know about climate change at this point. So I'm not an eco-fascist, but I am going to say that I think society is terrible and I think we should rebuild it by gassing everybody with this orchid gas and then repopulating it with perfect himbos. But crucially, not a racial thing. It's not racist that I'm doing this. It's not racist. And Bond outplays him by your own logicking him. He debates him in the theater of mind combat because
Writes a column about it.
In Jaws' hearing, he's like, oh, so you want to like eliminate all physical deformities, then? And Drax is like, yeah, of course I do. Of course I want to eliminate all physical deformities. Didn't you hear the thing about eugenics that I just said? And meanwhile, we're cutting to Jaws looking at Penny and with her like glasses and like, I don't know, there's not even like what, I'm not sure what's meant to be wrong with her. And like the fact that Drax like allowed Jaws to bring her to the space station in order to not get nerve gassed would seem to indicate that he was kind of going to take a tolerant attitude towards them. But like,
my notes say, is my man implying that metal teeth are heritable?
Yeah. No. You don't deserve a place in the future. You're too big.
I don't think that's the condition.
And unfortunately, we need only medium-sized dime pieces
so you're too
to
tall.
repopulate.
We're only looking for
You're too tall, and your girlfriend is a nerd.
Get him out of here! Only fucking track stars, baby.
A world without physical deformities such as cooties.
God, imagine a world without physical deformities. James Bond would have nothing he could do. No way to defeat anyone.
It's his nightmare. That's why he has to stop it.
That leads me to my second of two serious points about this after the space thing. And my second of two serious points here is, can we interpret this as a variation of the Bond technique in which Bond uses a henchman's disability in order to incapacitate someone else?
It's an advanced move, but he absolutely does do that there, 100%.
He's like, so you're saying that freaks like this would have to be executed?
He plays his final card, the unstoppable Exodia of exploit disability.
Oh, so you're saying that you have to like airlock these fucking dickheads? And Drax is like, well, no, I didn't really say that at all. But by this point, it's too late. Jaws has gone sicko mode.
Yeah, Jaws is having like a thinking place. Also, Gogo will be getting it.
Yeah.
Gogo is getting pussy. Yeah.
Yeah, because Bond and Goodhead shut off the radar jammer, so back on Earth, everyone's like, whoa, there's a fucking city up there. And M's like, whoa, and then Gogol is like, what? But also Gogol's getting laid.
Yeah.
Gogo is like, oh, all I have to do is have sex with women. Is problems. It's much like line Back to the Salt Mines from early James Bond movie. You may remember. Yes.
So much to the spirit of Anglo-Soviet cooperation, they're phoning up Gogol to be like, yo, have you seen this city in space? And Gogol's like,
yo, this fucked up.
What the fuck? And
it's not us.
It's not us.
Sorry, we woke you up. And he's like, I was already awake. I'm just doing some work. And then it pulls back and he's in bed with another beautiful woman.
Yes, I was like, 2 knuckles deep in this. Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, we have to get to like a for all mankind ass thing of like, the US is gonna pack some Marines into a space shuttle and like storm the place because much like my earlier film Thunderball, right? Like at some point you just have to go, yeah, we're just gonna send Marines into this silly bullshit in order to like to have a battle scene. So they do
lasers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They turn off the anti-grav. And then they're all doing like zero grav shit, which is completely flawlessly done. You couldn't tell that it was.
It definitely doesn't look normal. Like everybody on the floor and one guy doing a handstand in the corner.
Definitely doesn't look like bad improv.
The Marines storm the place. They like blow part of it up. Bond nearly gets Amogus. He nearly gets ejected into the cold vacuum of space.
I hate that you've said that. Ooh, looking
But
kind of
it's
sus.
true. Hikey sus right now. You've done any tasks? Yeah, he like reverses it on Drax. He like shoots him with the poison dart gun and then like throws him into the airlock and ejects him into the cold vacuum of space.
Yeah, it's cool.
As
Sick.
as the like space station blows up, absolutely destroying some S tier pussy and dick and balls.
My notes just say presumably all the Abercrombie models are killed horribly.
Yep, 100%.
Yes.
So 2 points. First of all, almost a good line. As Bond kicks Drax out into space and Holly shows up. Holly Goodhead shows up and says,
Holly Goodhead.
Cannot stress enough, this woman's name is Holly Goodhead. Shows up and is like, where's Drax? And Bond says some shit like, oh, he's taking one small leap. Which I thought was...
No, he says he had to fly.
Which is a terrible line.
When he pushes Drax into the airlock, he says, take a giant leap for mankind.
That's such a better line! Why did he know that?
I used my first line on the guy I killed.
You could
and now
just
he can't
say the
hear
second
it,
one.
So
You could say it again.
I'm going to have to use my B
That would have
tier
been quite
line
a funny
here.
moment if he'd said it again because she wasn't there for the first one.
Yeah, you
And
could
he's
say it
like,
again.
You missed
sick.
this, but it was very funny. I said, why don't you take one small step for mankind?
Like, your only witness to saying that line is dead. That you could just say it again, man. Second
he
thing,
has been a mogust.
shut up. As soon as the fight starts, the crew stops being a 50-50 gender split and becomes all dudes.
Yep.
Which means that this movie has, I think of any movie I've ever seen, the single highest female death rate, which is all -2. It's
yeah. Manuela survives,
3
and
then.
Holly Goodhead
Manuela,
survives.
Holly Goodhead, and Jaws' girlfriend, Dolly, are the only women who survive this movie out of like hundreds.
So the Marines escape on their space shuttle. Bond and Holly Goodhead go chasing after the like nerve gas globes that have been launched into Earth's atmosphere, but they can't fucking undock. And so they have to like ask Jaws to help them. And so we get this scene of Jaws like uncorking champagne with Dolly in the exploding space station. And his one line in the series, he goes like, well, here's to us, and then he undocks them.
You get a scene which seems like Roger Moore is genuinely respecting Jaws because he like leaves him on this space station is exploding, and Holly Goodhead is like, is he gonna be okay? And Bond's like, yeah.
I'll give you the line. I'll give you the fucking line.
Don't worry, they'll make it. It's only 100 miles to Earth.
Bullshit! They're fucking dead!
No, they make it. They're fine. They're alive. It's Jaws. You can't kill the cunt.
Much like skydiving, you know, it's not the fall that kills you. It's not the distance. It's the sudden stop.
No, it's re-entry.
Yeah, exactly.
So shit! It
He's
would have been
alive.
better if he died. It would have been a nice, sad bit of moment. Fuck me. Anyway, they
No, he's
fucking
fine.
laser the globes and they save the day.
To be fair, they don't show them on screen again. They just sort of have an offhanded line that implies they like landed.
Yeah, we found
in the
them.
sea or some
we
shit.
found them entirely dead in this wrecked
We found
capsule.
a tall man and a blonde woman who survived. No capsule, they just fucking fell.
Yeah, it's Jaws. He's
150
fine.
Abercrombie and Fitch models died. The fashion industry's going to take months to recover.
We're completely
there is also
Holisters
a bit
are closing
right.
up and down the country.
Oh, the price of
There
himbos
is-
is skyrocketing. Fuck. Shit.
when Bond has to like laser the globes, there's genuinely another fucking Star Wars moment because the auto targeting thing breaks and he has to do it by hand, and
Bond
it's fully
uses
just like
the Force.
James, you've turned off your targeting computer. Is everything all right?
Yeah, and he pictures Q going 007.
Yeah, no, he lasers the fucking thing.
Pay attention, 007. Use the Force.
Haven't heard that name in a long time. Now, they fucking return to Earth. They deorbit,
Q-Gonjin.
and there is, of course, a sex joke to end on because they're fucking
You know
in
what?
zero gravity,
Well, I like
and
this.
they like the mission control turn the cameras on them. They're like, we're beaming this live to the White House and Buckingham Palace.
For some reason.
Yeah,
For
all
some
the great
reason.
powers of the world, also the UK.
Yeah,
Irrelevant.
and like we see Bond and Dr. Holly Goodhead having sex, and fucking one of them is like, "What's he doing?" And because Q isn't looking at the screen, he's looking at the like telemetry. He goes, "I think he's attempting re-entry, sir." Very funny. Thank you.
I like that. I think that was good.
I think he's attempting re-entry with his penis into her vagina.
He hits the line of the movie there, I reckon.
He really does deliver it well. Anyway. Yeah, that's the movie. That's Moonraker. Our moons have been raked.
Yeah. So
Baboon Raker.
So going back and rewatching certain scenes, there were bits that really ruined my brain. Largely, it's like, remember the knife guy? Remember a lifetime ago when there was the knife guy? And there's this woman that he meets in like the front office of a fucking Venetian glass blowing company, dies in space about a day later.
I'm still thinking about the fact that James Bond sharing the same continuity means that when the Queen parachuted into the Olympic opening ceremony attached to James Bond, she had to have been like, "Oh, I've seen you having sex in space before."
Here's
Cool.
my closing thoughts before we get to our science-based analyses, which is, imagine fucking Daniel Craig's Bond dealing with this. Imagine that you got the whole way through this to the point where
imagine
he was in
Daniel
space.
Craig's Bond has to make this noise.
No. Roger Moore the entire way through, and as soon as Drax has started to explain his plan while they are in space, just swap it out for like Daniel Craig. The fuck is he gonna do?
Oh my god. Oh, I missed it. I missed a bit out in the battle scene, which is that like as the sort of the lasers are going back and forth, we fully cut to like the cockpit of the Marine space shuttle where there's two guys and one of them looks at the other and says,
Let's try docking.
"Okay, sure."
Well, we might be about to die.
Your relationship.
Yeah, let's try docking.
Oh my word. So good.
Oh fuck! I almost wish you'd save that to be like the last thing you hear in the episode.
Well done.
Yeah, and also, we didn't stress that enough. Every one of these Marines is using a laser gun for the climactic fight.
There's a zero-G laser battle. My notes say, looks like shit, sounds like shit, badly edited, ridiculous.
Terrible. So
Anyway,
we
imagine
have-
continuing with a serious movie after that.
Yeah,
Imagine
and
doing
it's
12 more
it's
movies.
gonna happen. It's gonna be For Your Eyes Only. But before we get to For Your Eyes Only, we have a science-based rating system on this podcast to determine how bad a James Bond movie is. We have 4 categories: SMARM, cultural insensitivity, unprovoked violence, misogyny, the scum system. So, out of 7, what's the SMARMS movie like? And I want you to answer bearing in mind this drop.
A woman.
That's the Roger Moore noise to me.
A woman.
I think the SMARM's pretty high.
Like he's seen a charcuterie from across the room and he's like, "Ooh, a woman."
69, you were expecting me.
Just using my unused drops here.
Fuck
I think
it.
it's pretty high.
Give him
Like
a
the woman
6,
stuff's
whatever.
good. Yeah, I think it's like a 6 or a 7.
I think so. It's got to be it's a 6 to me. Dev, pick a number.
I said 6, yeah. 6 or 7.
All right,
so
all right.
easy.
Cultural insensitivity.
Well, we can't stress enough that it isn't racist, so hard to give this above a naught.
I think absent the like kendo guy, absent Shah.
Yeah, if you cut
It's pretty
Kendo
low.
Nagasaki out of this, it
Yeah.
was quite normal. Unfortunately, you just
Yeah.
had the guy trying to assassinate someone using a kendo sword, which
Can we say like a 4 maybe?
Do you think it's worth that much?
I would
just
say
for-
lower even, yeah.
I would say like a
Okay.
1.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
That's
No.
spicy, but I'll do a 1. I'll do a 1.
This is definitely the one where
Okay.
they're going the hardest to be like, this isn't racist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not racist, Mr. Bond. Okay, fine.
I mean, we've made a lot of progress since the Live and Let Die's 9.
Unprovoked violence.
I've seen the greatest himbos of my generation destroyed. by James
Moon.
Bond. Wiped out in a space station. Imagine that arc just going through. Imagine that was a fucking generation ship.
Yeah.
And the first thing, like the golden record that aliens ever found of us, was our most perfect and beautiful himbos floating past
Killed
the
by
Kuiper belt.
James Bond.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he does kind of like endanger everybody when he pushes the button and stops the like station.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's probably. I don't know. Man. This is the one Bond I was sent a resource by a friend of a show, my mother, which was just a list of like the amount of people who died in each Bond movie, either by Bond or just in general, and this is by far the highest of the Roger Moore era.
So this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's got to be it's got to be high, but the thing is, it feels weird because all of those deaths happen more or less off screen. Where previously we've been using unprovoked violence for stuff like, I don't know, Dr. No, who fucking shoots a guy 6 times in the back. You know,
Yeah.
like
Also, it's kind of Drax's fault.
You're removing a lot of agency from the perfect himbos here, but
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
although to be fair, I think they did
how do
also
we feel-
sign on to a eugenicist plan. So
Yeah.
I don't know how knowing they were.
How do we feel about a 3 or a 4? What do you want to go
Yeah.
high?
I do 4.
Yeah, I can see
Okay.
4. I can see my way towards a 4.
I think misogyny, it's going to be pretty high because we've got like a woman. We've got
We've got a woman.
we've got the fact that like everyone just like keeps shagging him for no reason. His like
Yeah.
weird noncy remarks to the Glazier lady.
Yeah.
It's hard to get past a woman.
He
And
breaks
also, I
into
can't read.
he breaks into Dr. Holly Goodhead's hotel room.
The woman who can't read, and
It's
also
so good.
the 1 minute 55 pussy clock record. I think it's going to be a 6 or a 7. It's pretty high.
Yeah, I think so. I'm willing to do like a 6, I think.
Sure. Okay.
6.
Now,
I have no input.
where
on
does that leave us?
Oh
In-
my goodness. Well, that actually leaves us with a 17.
that. Ooh.
Which by Bond standards is pretty low. It's equal to Dr. No. It's the best of the Roger Moores so far. It's the best one we've had in a while, actually.
Wow.
And
Surprising
I think that's because it has so little racism in it. Whereas the others have been like pulling in big scores on racism. Whereas this one, like, also inexplicably, something must have gone wrong because we've rated it as better than Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
changed my mind. This is
morally better, but a worse movie. Because the thing that we love in every movie is racism, and this didn't have enough for us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Well, even Spy Who Loved Me had quite a low racism score, but
Here's the thing.
yeah.
It's all the good bits of Spy Who Loved Me, and then also some other shit happens in there. So
Yeah, the baboon.
yeah, of course, the baboon
Now-
takes first.
The
Number
the
2.
Kronstein Rosette.
Yeah. So
I want to talk about the Kronstein Rosette.
okay, do you have a nomination for the Kronstein Rosette?
Well, first of all, the Kronstein Rosette is a little something we like to award to the henchman that we feel has been most overlooked.
Above and beyond. So it's not going to be
Who went
Jaws.
above and beyond the Call of Duty in the performance of evil. And I feel that my answer is the pilot who is like, yeah, I'm gonna fire one shot into the altimeter of this plane and jump out of it, and everything that happens after that is your problem. I love that guy so much.
That's not going above and beyond. He should have just shot James Bond if he's jumping out the plane anyway.
No, because he's working. No, come on. That's clearly like there's somebody there who's like, no, you have to kill him in like exactly this way. To me, this is, I don't know. And who else is there? The coffin guy?
I want to give it to the coffin guy so bad.
I wanna give it to
He's
the coffin
inspired
guy.
me so hard. We barely knew Get me a fucking
Yeah, man.
edit
He fucking
of
gets
the
killed
coffin guy
instantly.
with like Rivali playing over it in black and
Yeah,
white.
like give me the in
bastard.
loving memoriam edit of the coffin. Okay, fine. You've talked me around the
hardly
coffin
knew
guy.
ye.
The coffin guy.
Unnamed
wins.
character, the coffin guy wins.
Congratulations to Peter Coffin. I assume that's his name.
Now the other award that we give out is the Goodnight Cross, which is the Kronstein Rosette, but for characters that are not explicitly villainous.
It's gotta go. It's gotta go to the woman who can't read.
Yeah.
Corinne Dufour.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Willem Dafoe, Goodnight Cross.
Willem Dafoe, thank you so much for your service to James Bond.
Dies unlamented by anyone except us.
Just simply dies and is never
So many
brought up.
novels, so many magazines that you could have enjoyed. You'll never get the chance now. Eaten by dogs in a
Somehow became a helicopter pilot. Somehow learned to fly a fucking rotary wing aircraft.
Never read a word.
Oh, fucking! I
Crucially, did not
salute
learn
you.
how to drive a golf cart.
Absolutely incredible.
Fucking incredible. Thanks for listening to Kill James.
Thank you for listening to Kill James Bond. We have a Patreon. You can give us money in order to achieve the elevated status of getting a second bonus episode every fortnight.
Yeah.
We're the first podcast to invent doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we don't bump up our bonuses. We don't advertise them hard enough. So just right here, we got bloody Dr. Eleanor Yanaga on the next bonus
Your
episode.
favorite medievalist.
Bonuses are genuinely really good.
We are watching
bit
The
looser.
Name of the Rose.
I'm a little bit drunker. It's
That's
fantastic.
right. That's
I
right.
will be
We're
for the
going to
next
record that. We're going to record that right after this. So give us your money and tune in due time. In the meantime, James Bond will return in For Your Eyes Only.
I never learned to read.
Let's try docking.
Thank you for listening to yet another beautiful episode of Kill James Bond. If you are one of the many people who got extremely mad at us when we tweeted that Moonraker is bad, I hope that you enjoyed listening to this podcast and you now fully agree with our position. Kill James Bond will return in 2 weeks' time for Your Eyes Only with the wonderful, the fantastic Mia Mulder. But if that is simply too long for you to wait, you can head on down to our Patreon, patreon.com/KillJamesBond, where next week we have an episode starring the fantastic Dr. Eleanor Yanaga, talking about Name of the Rose. Now, speaking of our beautiful patrons, this podcast wouldn't be what it is without our £15 and above patrons, and those are George Rohak, Jack Holmes, Paint McCalla, Sol, Amanda Rogda, Bobby Lagerstrom, Nikki, Kentucky Fried Commie, Field Commissar Jen, Jack Bushel, Amber de Grazia, Larrykins, Tarp_0, Mothman, The Mothman, Timothy Pajoni, Jay Martindale, Pete Snorrison, Trip, Richard Drum, Josh Simmons, David Wick Ramaratna, Elizabeth Cox, Alfredo, Kinyu92, Rael Leal, Jonas Schwamberger, Zoe Shepard, James Knappman, and Robbie Morgan. It's getting a lot to say all of your names, and that brings me a joy the likes of which has never been known on this earth. This has been Kill James Bond, starring Alice, Abigail, and Devon. Our producer is Nate Bethay. Our podcast art is by Maddie Lubchansky, and our website, killjamesbond.com, is by the wonderful Tom Allen. See ya.